Welcome to this week's video. Oh my gosh, am I excited to record this? Yes, I'm very excited. Today, I want to talk about attachment styles. And I'm not going to make a video about attachment styles because you have a million and you have literally a book written about them. What I want to share with you today is my experience talking or being friends or being in a relationship with someone that has a different attachment style. So, this video will have, of course, as always, multiple chapters. So the first chapter, I want to talk about like the attachment styles, but as I told you, I'm not going to go into details. If you're interested, read the book or watch other videos. And the second part of the video, I want to go into like my experience. How can you be with someone romantically, friendship, family, whatever, because it is true that you will meet a lot of people throughout your lives. And it is true that not everyone will have the same attachment style as you do. So first things first, if you're not a secure person or you don't have secure attachment style, get help. I'm not even joking because the thing is that there are no good or bad attachment styles, right? Each of them have their own pros and cons. However, being with someone that is not secure can damage the other person's life on long term. So I just want to put this out here. Like, just make sure you're aware of yours. And if you are, just get help. Not like immediately, but just be aware of the things that you are struggling with. Attachment styles that I want to touch on in this video are the main important ones. So the secure, the avoidant, and the anxious attachment. I've been all in my entire life. At the moment, I have no clue which one I am, but that's not a self-diagnosis video. An avoidant person is the one that likes to deal with problems themselves, the ones that don't share, don't communicate as easily. They don't really know like how to handle conflict. They don't really know how to handle like heavy conversations or like tough conversations. The anxious attachment is the one that needs constant reassurance, that takes everything as a sign, that is constantly fearing that something bad will happen, that's overthinking all the time, that cannot really live outside of the relationship. And you have the secure one that is basically like in between. If there is someone that they need space from them, they don't overthink like, oh my gosh, this person needs space from me. What does that mean? But they also know how to communicate. They also don't take disrespect, and they are secure in themselves, so the relationship has less pressure than, for example, if you're an anxious avoidant, if you're an anxious attacher, or if you're an avoidant. So I told you that no of these attachment styles are good and bad. If you're dating an anxious attacher or like an avoidant, I'm not telling you to break up immediately, because if people are aware of which one they are and they know how to work on it, great, because not everyone is secure, and you cannot only be in a relationship if you're secure, okay? Because I was an avoidant in relationship, I was an anxious, and I was a secure person. So either way, the relationships that ended were not because of our attachment styles. But I'm just saying that don't say like, I'm an avoidant, so I will never get in a relationship. That's not true. You will get in a relationship, but in order to be like in a good relationship, you should change your attachment style to a certain extent if you're an avoidant or if you are a anxious person. So the thing that I don't want you to mix up is, it can happen that certain people share more. It can happen that certain people share less. I'm not saying that if you don't want to talk to me today, you are an avoidant and you never want to talk to me. Of course, this is a pattern. So it can happen that I'm, for example, a secure person, but I don't feel like talking to you today. That doesn't make me an avoidant, right? So with this, I'm not saying that if you're an avoidant, change your personality, or if you're an anxious person, change your personality. Because when I was an anxious person, I really liked about myself that I cared a lot. Did I care too much? Yes. However, if I tell you that you're an anxious person and I want you to change, I don't mean stop caring and literally don't give a about what other people do, but be more like, care because that's your personality. But if somebody doesn't reply to you for 3 hours, don't assume that they are cheating, or don't assume that you've done something wrong. See, this is the difference. And if you're an avoidant, for example, I don't tell you like, okay, from now on, share every single bit of your life with me. but more like, look, if you're struggling with something that has an impact on, for example, the both of us, or is something serious, you have to share it. If you had a bad lunch today and you feel mad about it and you don't share it, oh, it's okay. I don't, of course I care, but like, I don't care to the point where I'm gonna make a fuss about it because you just don't want to share. I would share because I'm a person that shares, but if you don't share it, that's fine. But if you're struggling with your inner child, whatever, and you don't want to share that, that's an issue, because how do you expect to be in a relationship? Firstly, if you're constantly overthinking. Secondly, if you're avoiding big conversations. So this is like, just, like, be aware of your own attachment style and try to get closer to the secure one. Okay, so I'm not saying like abandon yourself again. I'm saying like try to see what are the things that you're doing wrong and try to see where you can get closer to the secure one. So for example, if I'm an anxious person today and I want to get closer to the secure one, I will tell myself, okay, if someone, it doesn't have to be a partner, okay, it can be a friend. I have this example with a friend. She didn't reply to me for a week and I was genuinely like, what did I do wrong? And then after I talked to her, she explained to me. Does this mean what she did was not wrong? No. I'm saying if you are anxious or avoidant, you are to a certain extent abusing your partner with this behavior. Because when I was anxious and I was constantly texting someone and I was like, why don't you reply? What are you doing? Are you cheating on me? That's to a certain extent abuse, because the person was, I don't know, sleeping at home or having a meeting and I was going insane. Also, if you're an avoidant, you're also abusing the person, because if I ask you, hey, what's wrong? And you tell me like nothing, then you withdraw information from me that could impact me and that will impact our like relationship or connection on that day. Because if you're in your feelings, you should tell me like, look, I'm not feeling my best. I don't want to talk about it. It's related to XYZ. Let's catch up later. And if you tell me it's related to your work, I will not get on your nerves as much as if you don't tell me, even if I'm secure, because I'm secure, but I want to know what's wrong with you because you're my friend, my mom, whatever. So I'm just saying that either way, whatever, whichever you are, just try to be aware of it and try to think about how would you get closer to the secure person. Like literally, if you want, just put it in ChatGPT, like I have avoidant style or I'm an anxious person, how would I need to get closer to secure person? And then you can put like maybe situation like in relationship, friendship, family, work, whatever. So the second part of the video is basically like exploring how you can be with someone or how you can like make friends with someone or date someone that has a different attachment style. So the first thing that you need to do is, of course, be aware of yours. And there's a difference between being aware and like actively trying to be more secure. So it's not only enough if you know like, okay, I'm anxious. I knew that I was anxious because the things that I assumed and the things that I've said were ridiculous, like ridiculous. You have to have a certain imagination to be able to think the thoughts that I thought to myself. So I was like, damn, I'm really creative. But either way, be aware of it and then start working on it. This is what I'm doing now. I'm starting to become more secure because I want to be secure. I don't want to be in a relationship where I'm constantly overthinking, when I'm constantly comparing myself to people. So I'm really working on being more secure, right? This is step one. Like, see, there are so many like literally quizzes online. In this book that I read, you also have like a quiz that I filled out. You can see like literally what kind of person you are. The second thing is like be aware of what the other person is. So this is quite easy for me to like recognize. So I was dating avoidant people, I was dating anxious people. Anyways, I was like, you could really, because these two are like almost like opposites. Okay, so if you text someone and they don't reply for like days, that's an avoidant person, right? Because I have no clue how can you go days without like texting me. And I was also with anxious, like I had anxious friends that I didn't text back for 2 hours and they were like, why don't you text me? What are you doing? So you will recognize it, but if you don't, you can use like the same questionnaire that you use for yourself. And if you know the person, you can fill out easily. Like, for example, do you guys talk about deep topics? Yes. Okay, then he's probably not avoidant. He's more secure. Does she, like, can relax if you're with your friends? No, then she's probably anxious, because why cannot she relax if you're just with your friends? So just be aware of the other person's like attachment styles. The third thing you have to do is like communicate. Okay, because It's not an issue that you are an avoidant or you are an anxious person, but you need to communicate. For example, you're an avoidant. You don't want to talk about what happened today. Okay. Okay. I understand. Of course, also depends on your partner. Because if, for example, if I date you and you're an avoidant and I'm secure and you tell me, like, look, I had a very bad day today at work. I'm not ready to talk about it. I just need like 2 hours to cool off. I will tell you as a secure person, okay, I'm here. Let me know if you want to talk. If I'm an anxious person, I will tell you, okay, what have you done? Did you cheat? Why don't you talk to me? Do you not trust me anymore? How can I help you? Let me know how I can help you. So you see, it also depends. But for example, let's say that you're an avoidant and you talk. Of course, avoidant anxious is a really, really like messy couple, I would say, but we will get into that later. So let's say you're an avoidant with a secure partner. So you tell this, okay, if you come home and you don't talk to me, I can be as secure as I want to. It's not my job to figure out why you feel bad. It's your job to communicate. I've had a long day. I don't want to talk about it yet, but I will tell you later. Why is this important? Because firstly, I don't want to talk about it yet. So I give you space to, handle it on your own. But when you say yet, it means you're also not avoiding me completely, where you say, I will never tell this to you, like yet. So I'm giving you the space to tell me whenever you want. But then I expect you to come back to me and tell me why you were upset. So this is if you're an avoidant. And if you're an anxious, how do you communicate? So for example, I tell you I'm a secure person and I tell you I go out with my girlfriends today and you're an anxious person and we're dating and you tell me like, oh my gosh, I'm so scared that like you're gonna cheat. Then it's not my job to make sure that you don't overthink, because I will not cheat because we're in a relationship. So what I want you as an anxious person to do is like, I will tell you like, look, I'm gonna let you know when I arrive there and I will let you know like when I'm leaving. But like, you as an anxious person have to communicate and have to understand that it's not my job to update you 24/7. You have to trust me. And if you don't trust me, that's a completely different topic. However, and as an anxious person, for example, if I leave and you like text me 10 messages, I will get mad, right? Because I told you I'm going out with my girlfriends. But if you tell me before I leave, like, hey, I'm really overthinking that there's going to be a guy there, I can sit down with you and say, like, look, I'm going out with my girls. We're going to go to this bar. We're going to drink because I don't know, X is getting married. Okay. So if you tell me beforehand, not in an attack way, like, okay, I'm overthinking, I'm really feeling like this thing in my stomach, I will help you. But you then have to understand just how an avoidant has to understand that, okay, she's giving me space, but later on I have to tell her. As an anxious person, I'm telling you the explanation of what I'm going to do, but then you have to put in a work. An avoidant has to put in a work to come to me and talk to me, and an anxious person has to put in the work to like be okay with me not texting you 24/7, if that makes sense. So communication is literally key, especially if you're dating like not the same attachment people or like you have friends. Because I also told my friend, like, when she disappeared, I was like, I understand why you did it, but it was not okay. I'm not justifying anything. If you're anxious and like you text your partner like 20 minutes, every 20 minutes, fix yourself. If you're an avoidant and you never ever speak about your feelings, fix yourself. I'm not justifying that what you do is okay because you have this personality attachment or whatever. I'm telling you that I'm aware of it, and as a secure person, I understand that I have to be the mature one sometimes, but it doesn't mean I'm going to carry the whole friendship or I'm going to carry the whole relationship because you cannot communicate or because you're so anxious that I have to update you every single time. The next thing that I really want to tell is like, as I already mentioned, like put in the work and actually like show it. So for example, I'm an anxious person. I should be aware of why I'm an anxious person. And you tell me that you're the secure one and you tell me like, okay, you know what, I'm going to be like patient with you, blah, blah, blah. But then I have to be the one that puts in the effort. For example, you got with your friends and instead of me thinking about like, what is he doing? Why is he not texting me? I'm going to do a Pilates class, for example, or I go to the gym. Like, if you don't see your partner changing after you discuss, like, okay, I don't like that you never share things with me, or like you're so much in my ass, then don't be okay with that. if I'm dating, if I'm an avoidant and you're secure and we're dating and I tell you like I'm going to tell you what's bothering me and then I never come back to you, I'm sorry, but you can be mad because I also need to put in the work. And this is something I really want to highlight here, because when I tell you that you're an avoidant and you have to speak more, or you're an anxious person and I want you to like not stress as much, that doesn't mean that tomorrow they wake up as a secure person. This means that they will need your guidance and they will need your help. So, say you're an avoidant person. I tell you, okay, I'm going to give you time to process whatever happened. If you don't come back to me and tell me what happened, or if you're an anxious person and you're still going to like, I don't know, struggle with it, you can also say like, hey, I know I promised to tell you, but I just don't feel confident. Or, hey, I know that I promised not to text you, but I'm still overthinking. I can work with that, but I shouldn't be the one chasing you because I already gave you space. I already explained to you what I'm going to do. You have to meet me somewhere. And I think this is what people struggle with the most, is like knowing that, okay, she gave me space so I can, deal with my shit the way I want. But that means you have to meet me somewhere else. Same with an anxious person. I explain to you what I'm gonna do with whom, but you have to meet me halfway by trusting me. So make sure that you don't just communicate, but you also pay attention to like signs and, is she actually following up? Is he really doing the work that he promised to do? Because it is possible to be in the same relationship with like an anxious person or avoidant, even if you're a secure one. But you really need to pay attention whether they are willing to change. And if not, how much can you like help them? How much can you like support them? So these are all really important things. And in my next video, so if you don't want to miss out on, make sure that you subscribe. I will talk about how to be in a relationship if you're an avoidant with an anxious attacher, because that's the fun story. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like this video so you don't miss out on more videos. And I will see you guys next Sunday. Have an amazing week. Bye bye.